Hey guys, it's Tim Miller from the Bulwark. I'm here with my buddy Andrew Egger. I'm in D.C. I was here for the Principal's First Conference. You might have heard about that. There was a bomb threat, and a lot of other weird stuff happened. The Proud Boys came, but we're here. We're fighting the fight. We're principled.
Still alive.
Still alive and principled. We wanted to talk to you about some happenings in the UN today. There were dueling resolutions, and the U.S. was on the side of our good friends in these resolutions in Belarus and North Korea and Hungary and also Israel. So there it is.
Russia.
And
Russia,
Russia,
the big one for this particular resolution.
So that's our team now. The two resolutions, one was a European-backed resolution demanding Russia immediately withdraw its forces, and then there was a U.S.-backed resolution that urged an end to the war without mentioning that Moscow had been the aggressor or that Ukraine's territory should be kept.
Yes,
right?
basically the resolution that had been introduced by Ukraine and others, one of the things that it suggested was that Ukraine has internationally recognized borders and that should probably retain those internationally recognized borders. The U.S. resolution did not include that language.
And this is something. So the final vote there was 93 to 18 with 65 abstentions. So there are only 18 countries that were like, no, we do not agree that Russia should withdraw its forces. Russia should keep its forces wherever they want. And as we mentioned, they were basically the worst countries in the world, and us, and I guess Israel, and depending on which side of that you're on. That's not great. I mean, I guess at least abstain. And at some level, I was a model UN kid. So, I do love the UN more than I think most people of, conservative progeny. I just have like an affinity for it as being a model UN nerd. Even still, some of this stuff is silly, and there's like not that big of a difference between the model UN and real UN sometimes. And yet, it's like it is, I think, speaks to how alarming it is that we are just, at this point, not just resentful of the international community or not hostile to some of their excesses, but like actively siding with the bad people.
Right. It's like it's not saying, well, the UN is one thing, but we have to be realists. We're going to actually be performative villains when we do our cosplay at the UN. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah, and I totally agree. It was when you rattled off that list, when that list came out this morning, it was like, oh, okay, I guess these are our global friends now for at least certain really important international matters. That's kind of a cool place to be in.
Performative villainry. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And that's bad. Like we're like Jafar.
Right. Yeah, they're all over there, kind of like, at least Stefanik. She's not confirmed yet, but she's like, at her home every day, sort of practicing her evil cackle and that kind of thing, so she can roll it out later at times like this.
The Lee Stefanik thing is interesting. She isn't confirmed yet. I was trying to figure out why, and we looked into this, and the Senate Republicans have been like saving her for the end of the confirmations because the House is such a shit show right now that the Republicans have a 3-vote majority and they can't pass anything. So they're like, if we keep her in there a little while, maybe we'll be able to get the budget passed. So I do think that's kind of interesting. But we have like a stand-in replacement or not replacement, but like temporary ambassador. Beyond kind of the performative villainry aspect of it, what are the other things that make you like the most? Are you alarmed? Are you angered? Are you disgusted? Like, talk to me about your feelings.
Well, yeah, it's just I'm bewildered more than anything else, and I have been by this whole thing because the whole position of the Trump administration is, the Biden administration couldn't end this war, but we're going to, right? Yeah. And they're talking again like as though it's this. They're going to do the kind of the hard-nosed realism that Joe Biden wasn't willing to do, that Vladimir Zelensky doesn't want to do with his own country, but. There's no reason, even if you kind of cede that Ukraine is going to have to not go back to its own borders, that there's no real way to go back to that, or that even if you cede that Vladimir Putin's going to get some of the stuff that he wants out of the end of this war, and that it's worth doing that for the cost of, or in order to get peace, you still don't have to grant all of Putin's terms and grant all of his framing of the entire thing. You don't have to tread lightly around him and be nice and get mad at people who say he's the aggressor because he invaded Ukraine. I mean, it's totally nonsensical to to see all of these people who are like, oh, you guys want to live in this fantasy land where Ukraine is likely to win this war. And like, yeah, we'd really like Ukraine to win the war. That'd be nice. That'd be cool. But like at the can't we like agree that like the very bare minimum would be just to acknowledge very basic facts about reality if we're going to be realists about the whole thing?
This is right. This kind of fires me up on the thing that's been bugging me about this lately is like they've been asked several times like what Russia is being asked to give in this negotiation. Like Trump's been asked, Rubio, Waltz, I think Vance. Was asked on CBS, and they don't have an answer. And like they all keep seeming like they're surprised by the question. Kind of like you would think that they could just have like a fine talking point about this, but how. So like not only are they granting all of Russia's arguments, like it doesn't seem like they're even doing like the hard-nosed negotiation. Like even within the MAGA frame. Like, I would not be for this, I'm a Zelensky dead ender, but like, I would understand, right, if they're like, okay, we're going to really the art of the deal this out, and like, we're going to get some minerals and Russia's going to have to give up this land and like, Russia's going to be punished with this sanction and Ukraine's going to give up that land and we're going to cut a deal. Like, the only people being asked to give anything is Ukraine and us.
Yeah, yeah. And you can kind of see in the way that you always see with Trump, you can see that sort of viewpoint kind of metastasizing in real time because he's, as always, is kind of filtering everything through the lens of who he thinks is being nice to him and who he thinks is being mean to him. So even though, just a couple months ago, he still had a lot of good things to say about Zelensky because he felt like Zelensky helped him out a lot the first time he was impeached. The further this has gone on and the more he's been willing to kind of just like give in to everything Russia wants on this stuff and the more Zelensky has been kind of like, oh, well, I guess maybe we're going to have to go it alone without the United States help. Then you see Trump kind of like getting mad about that. He's like, well, oh my gosh, don't you realize how much help we've been giving you all this time? And now you're going to treat me like this? Well, I'm going to go with Russia even harder. And that's how we're doing our international diplomacy now is like through his id. And it's very cool.
This takes us to the other topic I wanted to get to related to this. So back at the White House, after we shamed ourselves at the UN, Macron and Trump were meeting. And we had a little live fact check from Macron on Trump. I don't know, have you seen this? Let's watch this together.
Just so you understand, Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total defaults, and it was through, like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money. To be clear.
So yeah, I mean, to your point there about his id, you see, like Trump gets like mad at Macron again. Like he is mad at the people that are supposed to be our allies. He's like making fun of them. He's doing a little hand gesture, like whatever. When Macron is like, no, we actually have been giving aid to Ukraine, and we have been doing the thing that you've been fucking asking for 10 years about, like putting more money into the military. And so like we're doing all of this, and still like you seem to be siding with the other guys.
Right. And you can like actively see in this clip kind of the bind and the no-win situation that guys like Macron end up in because Trump will just say something like that, right? And then the decision tree is, do I just let him get away with saying that completely untrue thing about how we're not pulling our weight in this war effort? Or do I correct him, kind of show him up here in front of everybody, get like a kind of a chuckle out of the pool reporters, and then you can kind of see as he's talking, Trump just kind of sitting there seething at him and, actively whatever like remaining pro-Euro brain cells he has, he's like killing them off on the spot, right? So and this is the way he approaches every interaction with all of our allies. It's like if it's an ally, it's like you have been sucking off of us too long and slipstreaming behind us for too long. You've had it too easy for too long, and darn it, we're not going to put up with it anymore. And if it's an adversary, he's like, the sky's the limit. We could do anything. We can make any deal. Like this is going to be great. We're going to get in there and we're going to deal. And it's this completely ass backwards way of doing the new international order that I guess we all get to live in now.
And the Dan Crenshaws of the world and the Waltzes, they'll be like, well, you don't. And Vance said this, like you don't need to poke the bear. Like you can be just nice to him. You can just suck up to him. And like again, like Macron, like a lot of these guys have been doing what Trump wants and going along with his ridiculous demands. And they still get nothing out of it. So eventually it's kind of like, well, why? Like, why should they do this? Like, maybe Zelensky should poke Trump in the eye now. Like, I don't know. Like, what is he getting at? What was he getting out of the suck-up routine?
Right. And that's kind of the main thing. It's like, really the only big difference is that now we are getting it with the added kind of indignity of the ritual humiliation of Zelensky
Yes.
that Trump is going along with, every day on his Truth Social account now, just like spouting. I mean, like, can you imagine being Ukrainian right now and just like you're already kind of like suffering these like kind of grinding, slow battlefield losses. And now not only is the U.S. about to pull the plug and actively siding with your enemy in all of these different ways, he also just can't shut up about how kind of wounded and hurt his feelings are about how Vladimir Zelensky has been treating him. I mean, it's just this insane reality that we all live in now, which is like, I mean, it's like everything else that's happening right now. It's like if we were not actively living through it, it would just be like this stupid idea that nobody would even contemplate.
I know you're religious, so you might fight with me, but it is a point for us being in a simulation. And this is not really real, actually, at all. And there's a teenager up there in the sky who's making us do all this. My final point for you, unless you have a thought on our simulation that you want to share. I took a closer look at the 18 votes against, and we also have a vote from I'm going to hide this from you so you can't watch it, where the audience can see. The country is Palau. Palau was one of the 18 that voted with us and Belarus and the world's worst people. Can you tell me one fact about Palau? Palau.
No, I cannot tell you a single fact about Palau.
It's a country in Oceania, and they have a great flag. Look at this flag. We'll put the flag up on the screen. Blue and with a yellow circle. Look at that flag. That is a cool flag.
What are we talking about? You're right. That's a cool flag.
That is a cool flag. Well,
I'm glad we have some cool flags in our new Axis of Evil in which we are participating.
I'm learning. Palau might be my favorite country in the new Axis of Evil, though. They're part of Micronesia, and who knows why they're Russophiles, but they're part of our new team with Hungary and Belarus and Niger and Venezuela. And that's what we've got. So
that might have a little more to do with China than Russia. Them being
Palau, or
more cinephiles than Russiophiles.
We're going to do more research on Palau. We'll get back to you on this for our next video.
Yeah, right.
Everybody else, subscribe to the feed. I hope you enjoyed this in our fancy studio digs here in DC. I'll be back at home with the pinto beans tomorrow. So we'll see y'all then. Peace. Hey, YouTube fam. If you want to support the Bulwark, the best way to do it is by becoming a YouTube Bulwark Plus member. The Bulwark is truly independent. We have no corporate overlords. We're not settling any dumb lawsuits with Trump. By joining, you help support our work, and you can get a bunch of perks right here on this platform. Ad-free content, bonus videos, live streams, and some emojis of me, which I guess some people want. So come join, come hang out, become a Bulwark YouTube Plus member, and I'll be seeing you in the comments. So behave.